Hello, friends, welcome. Here, every story is a whisper from the darkness, a call that pierces the silence of the night. Prepare to delve into dark tales, forgotten legends, and mysteries that defy reason. Dim the lights, turn up the volume. Because the terror begins now. The House of Varanasi. Varanasi, the sacred city on the banks of the Ganges River, is known for its temples, rituals, and cremations on the steps leading down to the river. Many believe it is there where the veil between the world of the living and the dead becomes thinnest. The story begins with Anika, a young researcher of religious traditions. She rented an old mansion near one of the less visited ghats, away from tourists. The owner handed her the key without ever looking her in the eye and simply said, "Never light a lamp after midnight. If you hear someone calling your name, don't answer." Anika believed it was just a superstition meant to scare her. The first night, she decided to look out the window to feel the breeze. The sky was clear, studded with stars. Nothing strange happened that night. The next morning, she woke early. The sun gilded the temples and reflected off the Ganges as if the river were covered in liquid fire. Excited, she decided to visit the local market. There were intense aromas of spices, fresh lotus flowers, and the sound of bells tinkling from the offering stalls, a vibrant contrast to the heavy silence of the old house. As she selected some incense, an elderly woman, her skin wrinkled like parchment, gripped her arm with surprising strength and whispered in Hindi, "Don't stay in that house. It belongs to those who haven't completed the crossing." Before Anika could ask what she meant, the woman disappeared into the crowd. Back at the mansion, the day passed peacefully. Birds sang in the trees, monks chanted mantras in the distance. But as night fell, a strange chill took over the place. At 12:01 a.m., Anika couldn't resist her curiosity. She took out an oil lamp and lit it. The flame flickered as if breathing. It was then that she heard it. A drawn-out whisper, coming from the stairs. "Anikaya." She froze. Her heart seemed to pound in her throat. She remembered the owner's warning, "Don't answer." But the sound repeated, closer, as if someone were just behind the door. "Anika, come to me." The flame wavered ever brighter, casting shadows that stretched across the walls. Thick smoke began to seep in from under the door, enveloping her feet, slowly rising. Without realizing it, Anika fell asleep under that suffocating blanket. The next morning, she awoke to sunlight streaming through the heavy curtains. The lamp was off, but there were dark soot marks on the wood of the nightstand. The smell of ash permeated the air, as if someone had burned too much incense. Restless, she turned on her laptop and began researching the mansion. She scoured local forums and old blogs until she found a forgotten thread in an Indian supernatural story community. The title made her shiver. "The House of the Incomplete, in Varanasi." With each line she read, her heart raced. The text said the house had belonged to a family of priests who performed secret rituals. During a major epidemic, Many bodies were cremated incompletely on the nearby ghats. It is believed that spirits, still trapped between this world and the next, began to wander the mansion, searching for a living body to complete the crossing. But what disturbed her most was the final passage. Whoever lights a lamp after midnight invites the incomplete ones to cross the veil. They call by name, and if one falls asleep in the smoke, one's spirit is no longer one's own. Anika froze. She had fallen asleep in the smoke. At that moment, something caught her eye in the reflection of the computer screen. Behind her, in the room, there was a figure covered in ash, motionless, watching her. Startled, she turned quickly. The room was empty. Only silence. But on the monitor, the figure was still there. And, slowly, she began to smile. Convinced it couldn't be real, Anika tried to rationalize. She told herself it was all fear and suggestion. However, she couldn't help but be drawn to an antique shop she found downtown. There, among the masks, amulets, and idols, something called to her. A clay vase, covered in faded symbols. It wasn't just a vase, it was a funeral urn. Anika was mesmerized by the piece and, without much thought, bought it. She took it back to the mansion. At night, the atmosphere felt even heavier, the air cold, almost unbreathable. It was as if the house itself was waiting for her. Shortly before midnight, a searing pain began to throb in her head. Trembling, she lit the lamp again. But this time, it wasn't Anika anymore. Her eyes reflected the same fiery red as the creatures she'd seen in their reflections. Her skin slowly began to become covered in dark spots, like burnt ash sticking to raw flesh. The urn on the table began to crack. From the crack escaped gray dust and the smell of charred flesh. And then, the voice. Not one, but many, echoing in unison off the walls. She called us. She gave us passage. Anika opened her mouth to scream, but no voice came out. The sound that echoed was that of dozens of ancient voices, blended together, distorted. The entire mansion vibrated, as if made of living bones. At midnight, the urn shattered completely, scattering ash across the floor. From them rose burnt human silhouettes, hollow faces, mouthless, just black holes belching smoke. They approached, surrounding Anika. But it was no longer Anika. She raised the lamp with a twisted smile and whispered in the same multi-voice. Now, I am incomplete too. The next morning, the mansion was empty. There were no signs of a struggle, just a new clay urn on the table, intact, with a name engraved on its surface. Anika. And to this day, they say that if anyone dares to light a lamp in that house after midnight, they will hear a young woman calling their name. And so we come to the end of another story. But remember, the fear doesn't end when the video ends. It continues, all around you, in the shadows, in the silence, waiting for the next night. If you enjoyed this journey into the unknown, leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and activate the bell. That way, you'll never be alone, and you'll always have company in the darkest hours. Because here, terror never sleeps. And I'll be waiting for you in the next video. Asterisk.